Okay, hi. So this is my explanation vid for this level, Bowzr's Unfortunate Return. If you don't know, that title is a reference to my old Mario Maker 1 troll levels, and like both the Bowzr thing and also using the word unfortunate in the title. Also, the aesthetics in this level were a reference to my first troll level. No real reason why I did all that, I just decided to do it for this one. The other kind of thing with this level is that I specifically built it to use no glitches at all, so it should be uploaded. I've had it up for a little bit now, but I was re-uploading to do revisions, so let's go in the level. It's a lot of pretty simple stuff here. So like this first row, you can see everything. Oh, we can't see what's in this. It's in Goombrat. Got this music loop here. I make it turn off when the switch changes just to be nice. Over here, this troll, it's pretty simple. This second stack is on a dry bones because the dry bones walks, so it moves over slightly faster. I don't know if that is actually a significant difference, but whatever, it needs to be stacked on something so it works. The mushroom just is held in by that. That's activated by this little thing, which is really nice. Like, being able to use screen scroll for setups like this is something I really like doing, and you can see there's quite a few of them up here. Alright, this thing, like the second troll, is already one of the most complicated setups in the level. So this is the part where I tried to do a little bit of psychology. You jump on this and it opens up a path down here, so you're like, oh, maybe I need to go down here, and then no, you get shot by a shell and die, and you really just had to go up here and go over, and the stuff happens. I'm assuming you know the level. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. It's activated. The switch gets activated by this spike ball when you walk past here. And the setup under the lava, it has to do a whole bunch of stuff in a small space, but there's like 3 different switches that happen. So I need switch counting setups, which are gonna be very common in this level. The things I used a lot here are bombs coming out of blocks into the lava, which blows stuff up, and also switch counting, and I have like a whole bunch of variations on both of those things down right here. So this setup, this spring, you come in blue, it'll run into this, changes once, goes here, changes again, it falls down here, and then it changes again, it'll do that. This one here, we have a spike ball. It's rolling on this conveyor will be going the other way. It'll come across, and after the second switch, it'll hit that, which destroys this block. And then this one's kind of interesting. So this is sitting on a POW. That POW has a switch block behind it, so it'll be sitting on the POW. One switch happens, POW gets destroyed, it's on the block. Another switch happens, and it falls down, and it just blows up on the lava. And then this one's just on a switch conveyor. So one here. So the first switch happens there, and then you come down here. There's another screen scroll trigger there that makes this explode, and then when you throw that bomb, it hits that one. The other setups here, well, there's this thing that's a frog suit back there. That's just to make it look suspicious. And frog suit isn't a sprite, it was a spring at one point, but yeah. This fish up here is kind of interesting because it's not actually a switch setup at all. So that fish just falls when the swamp falls. The reason this isn't a switch-based setup, even though it lines up with when a switch gets hit anyway, is because I didn't want it to trigger if you come down here. So only if you're up here and you get this far forward, you trigger the swamp and drop the fish. And I have it with this little spike pit, so it's like, oh, you come up to the edge, how do you get across the fish? Got him. Okay, this thing. So for this little setup, basically, well, I had this troll over here, right, with the bone shell, or the, no, not the bone shell, the blue skulls under the lava that's hidden and you land on it. So what I wanted here was a setup, what I needed was a setup where it looks like you could have gotten a bone shell and you didn't, and you got trolled or something. So, but what I specifically wanted was one where you have two options, and if you pick one, you can no longer pick the other one, and neither of them work. So what I came up with is if you go over here, can't get in that, but if you go this way, does that, and now it looks like it blocks this thing off, even though it was already impossible, but it looks like it got blocked off, so you're like, oh, did I do it wrong? And then you know what happens. You go in here, so if you don't jump, you can go into the box. This goes through the switch track, it goes here, boop, 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 and it will grab the dry bones and hit it into you, so you can die. If you jump, that's when that triggers this guy, and that makes that go up. I need these launchers here to cover the switch track. There's a door with the one way that just leads to there, if you're curious. And then that's Bowzr. Guess that was pretty self-explanatory. Oh, what makes the launchers come down is this spike ball, which is another thing that loads in from screen scroll. It just comes over here on the conveyor. It's this, which blows up these blocks. Or first it hits this, spawns the bone shell, and then hits this. Pretty self-explanatory. Over here, just have this spring and this launcher, which are held in place by switch blocks. So when you trigger this thing, when you trigger this beetle guy up here by jumping up, it hits the switch twice, and since it says, and that's why I'm not using switch conveyors, I'm just using the switch blocks, so those things can get past and it goes back. I actually don't remember why that's using switch blocks instead of why that needs to hit twice, but it did for some reason. Oh yeah, so this block right here, it is what comes down and lands on this and does pretty much nothing. The reason I put that in was because it kills Bowzr. Which, funny thing, just before I recorded this, I was looking at the level. So that was supposed to kill Bowzr when you spawn at the checkpoint, but it seems like he doesn't appear to actually even spawn from here, which means that's unnecessary, which means I could save sprites, which means this sprite saving thing doesn't need to exist, and I could, like, delete all the, whatever. It's fine. Who needs it? And this conveyor setup is fun anyway, right? If you were wondering what this actually does, it spawns these springs for the stack of more springs. That's kind of fun. Okay. And then here, okay. So this is the part, this part by the checkpoint is probably what went through the most revisions as I was building the level. So the checkpoint is hidden behind this blue skull platform and Muncher, and the reason I thought this was funny was because it's like, oh, so the checkpoint is right here and you could just get it easily, but you didn't because it's hidden. It's like, haha, it's so easy to get, but apparently it wasn't easy to get because, okay, so the things that happened with this is that first of all, people would just go here and then just not see it, and that wasn't the problem with the first playtests, but it became more of a problem later. So eventually in one of the last versions I added the brick block, below the on-off switch. So, and the fire flower and the checkpoint. That means you actually need to get the checkpoint, and that kind of resolves that. The other weird problem is that people, and this did happen early on, is that people would like, so if you come here and you ride across and you're like, oh look, there's a, so they would see, oh look, there's a checkpoint there, I need to get it. But then I guess people would like not realize where the checkpoint actually is and assume it's like, they assume the checkpoint's like here, where you can't get it, and also you'd be able to see it if it was there, but anyway, they'd assume it's like all the way behind the muncher and they can't just jump into it, and then they'd get confused and not know how to get it. And that's why I added this track. Like, this track wasn't always there. I don't know if that even helped, because I think the same problem happened later on, but now since you need the checkpoint, it's basically resolved that. You come through here. This is super simple setup. It's got this launcher. It has stuff behind it. The track the platform rides on, and then it's got the switch thing. So this is another thing by screen scroll. You jump over, scroll the screen to the right when you go it here, and then that will spawn this spike ball, which will hit the switch, and then move the launcher over. This is kind of a fun layering thing, because if you jump and hit that Kaizo block, the launcher doesn't move over. Well, how does it change? Well, it's just because it's being blocked by a block now, and it doesn't move. So that's fun. And then go up here, I have this spring fall down. I don't know why I even decided to put that there. I was like, oh, I want to get him in the box because it's open on the other side now. Haha, that would be funny. I'll just add a spring and a claw, but yeah, obviously no one's ever gonna fall for that. That would be impossible. That would just be actually ridiculous. Also, this piece of track right here has no purpose in the setup, but I just put it there to draw a crappy F when the other ones are revealed. Revealed by you going through, just whatever. Why? Okay, so yeah, and this switch activating setup is a little overcomplicated seeming, but I'll get to why it needs to be that way. This spike ball is actually reused over here, so that's why. Alright, then the stun setup. I have Thwompy guy. I got platform loads in from screen scroll. You activate at the same time you activate the Thwomp, and also this thing loads in from screen scroll. When the Thwomp falls down, it lands at the same time as this guy triggers on that thing. The way this works is literally just the spring falls on the guy. When he's bouncing like that, he'll pound, but the landing space has to be on screen, so if I do it down here... Yeah, see, he lands there, stuns you, and then dies. Fun little change. This used to just be empty, but then because people were just running through, I added this piranha, and now it seems to be a bit more effective. Some people still just go fast, but whatever. It's good enough. This thing is very dumb. Oh, so yeah, this setup with the stun, I got help from Marble with this thing, so that's cool. Thanks, Marble. Blue platform. Got a pit. That also exists just to hide the switch and this hidden block that gets hit. For that setup. This dumb troll, not even Karo fell for this one, where you like try to walk up slowly to go past the one-ways to hit this block, but then there's no floor and you fall in. Okay, this is probably the most complicated part of the entire level. So if you know what happens here, you get the spring, you bounce up this side to activate the switch once, you come out, you bring the spring over here, you jump up, it traps you between this, fish falls, then double, so one switch, second switch to trap you, then a double switch hit, which lets you out and destroys this. You bring the spring back over here, and then when you jump up, it switches one final time and destroys this hard block, which makes it trap you. The way this works is more switch counting setups, but they're kinda funky. So the first thing that triggers is, well, the first thing that triggers is you hit this yourself. The next thing that triggers is this guy, which doesn't need to be any weird setup because it only triggers when you go up high enough. That will hit the switch once. He will fall over here, hit this note block which has a spike ball, and this note block, the spike ball below on off switch thing, is a very nice way to hit the switch twice. Hits the switch twice really fast, and it's kind of free. So here's a switch kind of setup. First switch launcher here, and then it kills that, drops the fish. This guy comes over, does this. Then at that point, I need to have this block destroyed, and a position detector over here, which is a really weird setup. To destroy the block, I have this thing, which is just a muncher going around conveyors with switch blocks. So it's like one switch, two switch, the double hit lets it go past there enough to hit the bomb and destroy that block. And this thing up here looks really weird, but it's not that weird. This is similar to the setup in the beginning with the POW and the thing behind it. I have a launcher with a switch block behind it, so at first the launcher will be spawned. Well, I should show the beetle. The beetle gets brought to that position, so the beetle will be right here. And then it'll be on the launcher. Then the launcher dies and it's blocked by the switch block, and then it switches again. Beetle is allowed to come to this spot, which is in range to trigger, and it'll hit this on off switch for the final troll. The reason it has to start on this weird track block thing is because it actually, like, all the way over here is so far away that it wouldn't be able to spawn in that spot. So it has to, like, be carried around. And yeah, like, it's in position. Then the difficult setup was this one down here. So after all of the stuff happens, first I needed to hit this note block with a spike ball, and it had to come from this side because there's obviously a scroll stop there, so it can't come from here, can't come from the other side, which means I need a spike ball rolling to the right. But since you come in from the left, that means all enemies are gonna come in going the wrong way. And also, I can't really have it spawn from a block because I put the lava really low, which makes it extra difficult. The reason I put the lava low is just because I don't really like having super deep lava, because I don't like having too much stuff hidden in the lava, because it's not good for, like, the fair trolls. But I ended up hiding a bunch in the lava anyway, whatever. So this is the spike ball from the other setup, but it hits a spring. The spring gives it a little boost to hit the switch, and then it'll be stuck here, and then switch counting setup comes over here and does that. And another interesting thing about this is that if you pay attention, the fish that drops right here dies to something in the lava. That's actually this same spike ball again, killing it with the good timing. So that's how that all stuff works. There is also this thing, which exists. I don't know why I decided to put that there, but you know it's there and you can die to it if you want. Okay, in here, back to really simple self-explanatory stuff. You can see most of this setup happen. It's just spike ball rolls over after a bit of time and hits this. It hits the POW and also starts the spike ball chain. This one's a note block, and it does kind of a weird thing where it like hits this and then delays and then hits this one, which is not even super necessary, but it's interesting. And it does the setup. I have thwomps fall down here because thwomps are big, so I only need 2 of them. I could have used like bosses or something, but it doesn't. Whatever. This just spawns the muncher. Down here, here's the pipe entry setup. So when you scroll the screen to the right, it spawns this bomb which hits POW and also hits switch. POW kills the 3 piranhas. The switch activates these 2 switch conveyors, which hits these, makes the springs hit the bone shells, which hits these. I think that spring into bone shell setup is like pretty much the fastest way you can have a switch activated block hit under the lava, so that's nice. Also, this one happens on the next switch, just controlled by this guy right here. So this will be spawn blocked. You go to the right to this point, and then when you walk back left and collect the 1-ups, it'll trigger and do the stuff. Kind of a had kind of a fun psychology thing where it's like, oh, how it's like you're blocked and this does nothing. How do I get through? Oh, maybe if I just go collect the shinies, and that like works and triggers the thing to kill you. Also, there's no scroll stop here. I don't remember exactly why I couldn't have a scroll stop here. I think it was 1 because there used to be a setup a little further over here, but also because I need the screen to scroll to the right in order for this thing to respawn from screen scroll and trigger the other setup. In here, this is just a mole detector to hit a bomb and then destroy this block, so it's like you get running speed. One thing I want to show is that if I get rid of these blocks, you can absolutely make this jump. Easy. Yeah, you can jump that if you have speed and you do it. So here, thing under the lava. Okay. So this setup I want to mention, I was kind of surprised that this went as well as it did, because the worry that I had is that, so you can only stand on this spot right here, and you can't make the jump because there's Kaizo blocks. So it would absolutely be possible that someone would just fall anywhere else in the lava and then not know what to do. But it worked out that like pretty much everyone I saw did end up trying to jump across and finding this, and it was fine, so that's good. This spring I have kept moving up across different revisions so that people don't like jump all the way on top of it and they have to actually grab it. And these fallen Kaizo blocks, there's 3 of them. Also, they were easy for me to time because they spawned at the same time as the spring. So like once you're, and that's when you jump across. So I know that if you're here, I know when you're gonna jump to get the spring, because that's when it's over your head. And then once you get the spring, I know that you're gonna jump to bounce off it like right after that. So that's when the Kaizo blocks fall. Easy. This fish is kind of interesting. It has a parachute. And parachute fish are solid, so it like runs into the ceiling here. which makes it immediately land on this semi-solid and lose the parachute and fall on you pretty fast. And it just dies to this. This is to reset the switch and make sure it's in the right state. This setup, oh, this one's fun because... So this one I kind of came up with accidentally. Because I just like built this thing with like the launcher and the conveyor and the switch, and I was like, oh, what if you had to like throw a shell at a switch and ride across, and it was like I could make a troll out of that. Oh look, I'm stuck, I can't, it doesn't actually go across. Isn't that crazy? Epic troll right there, because it doesn't actually work, and I thought it would. Also, the second layer here is something that I changed due to playtesting, because it used to be something that would hit you if you were here, but everyone stood over here, so now it's something that hits you over here. Haha. This is just divine. This thing drops a muncher down, which just exists to stop this shell and kill it, and stop the switch getting hit a bunch, because I can't have that going on. This one's pretty simple, it's just stacked blocks. It's kind of an interesting thing because the note block spawns the thing. Because the note block spawns the thing way faster than the regular block, so like the mole pops out, then the piece root spawns below it and gets hit. But still pretty simple thing. Oh, this is a really dumb troll that no one would ever fall for, and no one does fall for. I've changed it a few times trying to make it better, but still no one falls for it. Also, it is very intentional that those two piece switches fall and land in those positions, so have fun with that. This thing, yeah, this troll is pretty cool because I found that it twice as you. But like, I was messing around with bone shells getting hit, right? And I accidentally found that they slide over in the lava in a really weird way. If you did not see it, it does that for some reason. And I was like, okay, well, how can I get people to not just catch it? Put this here so it looks like it's gonna fall on their head. And then I discovered that if you're not big, that actually does fall, so that's great. Also, this hint, well, it's pretty obvious, it's just mushroom spawns in when you come over. I added that really late also because people would, because I guess this mushroom was too suspicious, because people would just skip it, they'd come over here and they'd be like, oh, how do I get the bone shell? And you try weird stuff like, maybe I jump in the corner. Everyone I saw did figure it out after just a couple of lives, but I wanted to make it slightly faster than that, so I added this dumb hint where it's like, oh, you need bone shell, but then actually you need mushroom, because you do. This thing, I just wasn't even meant to be a troll. I just wanted to make sure you were carrying the bone shell, because for some reason I thought that would make the next troll more effective, and it didn't help, and I don't know why I thought that was a good idea, so that's great. Also, I have, it's like if you're standing close to it and you throw, it just dies, but if you stand back here, it works. So I put the throw indicator in the spot that's wrong. Crazy wild technology. Yeah, this thing. So this entire troll. So this thing here where it lifts the bone shell up with the block tower. I actually discovered that from the setup way, from coming up with something for the setup way earlier in the level. Where was it? The idea was originally used for this thing, I was using the bone shell getting lifted up. But then someone suggested that, well, I was building in VC and someone suggested making taking that, using it elsewhere, and turning it into its own troll. So that's where this came from. Uh, yeah, yeah. So this used to be very different because it originally was like bone shell gets carried up, it actually comes over, but then it's when it falls down, it's actually a stack of bone shells, and then it gets crushed by a cannon. But that was lame, and the new one's better. So now it has this simple switch counter. So up there it activates a switch, spawns this one, and then drops dry bone down. And also fun thing I discovered about while making this is that chain chomps can be cool for setups. So the top of this triggers a chain chomp. He plays the music and also drops this down. So that's fun. Alright, then we get the over here. Sacrum. Yeah, so this is from this pipe. I could have put an anti-soft lock here, but I didn't have any ideas for one. Also, I didn't really want to put a terrible anti in the level. I ended up putting in 2 pretty awful antis, but not one here, so that's great. Alright, so then you get to this point, and this is cool. So you come in, and I think I kind of messed up a little bit, because when people come in this door, they get hit and they're like, oh, should I have held up to not get hit? And you actually can't even grab the vine, and it just is a little weird. It doesn't really affect the level much, but it feels odd. Come over here, this troll. Yeah, so Lemmy bounces up into place because Lemmy sucks and is big, even though he's actually 1x1, but when he tries to spawn, he thinks he's big, so that sucks. So he has to bounce into place. But then this troll, it's like, oh, okay, you damage boost through Lemmy. Stop having... Get out of here. It's like, oh yeah, you got a damage boost through the guy. But if you hit that, now you can't. So the interesting things here, this original idea was that... So now he has the switch block to kill the piranha and do the thing, because that works consistently. The original idea is that if Lemmy is in a 1 wide gap, he actually will never stand on his ball anyway. He just doesn't do it. And then if you open up the space, that makes him do it, and the ball blocks you. Well, you could damage boost otherwise, but for some reason, just opening up the space isn't always good enough to make him do it, so it was inconsistent and it sucked. So eventually just went with this switch thing that I knew worked from one of Federico's levels. And this launcher, it moves over because it gets pushed into the slope. I also have this dumb other troll where it's like, oh, get duck jump to get the coin, you hit this and it hits the same block and kills you again. It didn't really work out on that many people, but I still really liked having that extra layer of dumb troll where it's like, oh, this thing kills you, but what if I go here? Oh, it does the same thing. I feel like that's a really bearware troll right there. So this setup, it hits the switch, hits the switch again, but it also, second bomb also drops this coin and does this weird complicated thing to open up the path to the left. I did that because I wanted more of a delay on opening this path over here to the suck room. I wanted more of a delay so that you have time to like see that Lemmy is now blocking you with the ball and you can't jump through it. And then it opens up over here and you die. So then you do that, come over here, you stand on that and you hold up and you go in the door because it gives you enough momentum to stand on the corner. This used to have like a switch block that would push you down and you die, but that was kind of sucky. I mean, it wasn't like bad, but it made people not able to dodge it, which was bad. And then this is open, you get to the ending. So this mushroom is placed in a different spot. Why is it placed like this in a place where it's avoidable now? Because I specifically wanted to make this mushroom avoidable so that people would have an alternate solution to beat the ending. Because a lot of people didn't figure out the original solution to the ending, which was actually to get hit on this spike, which is possible if you come over here and then you duck and you jump and you hit the spike. A lot of people didn't figure that out for kind of obvious reasons. So my solution was to add the alternate way of doing it, which is dodging this mushroom. Which I think, if I remember correctly, some people did think of doing that, which is why I added it. It's like, oh, well, they fell for the troll, and they thought of, hey, maybe I should do this to avoid the troll, and then that wasn't the solution. But then when I go to revise the level, I'm gonna make that the solution because it's possible and it works fine. And I think that's like a good thing to do if people don't figure out a troll, but they try something that could be a solution. Is just making that work is like a fine thing to do. Also, this setup is super simple. It's just a spike ball, and it slowly rolls over here and hits this, and then a frog suit held in by switch blocks. And then up here is a thumbnail, and it's cool. So the last thing is in the pipes, the fun ante. So, fun fact, I never actually tested this ante. It's apparently not that hard, but you know, whatever. You're not supposed to do the ante, you're supposed to go in the fun pipe. It's a CP1. That's why I need a P-switch to be active when you go in the CP1 pipe, because that's how the setup works. So I just have this mole infinitely hitting P-switches and triggering annoying sound effects. So if you accidentally go in the pipe, it's this, it'll spawn our spring friend and that guy, and also allow this to spawn, which completely blocks you so you can no longer win, and you just have to die over here. So that's fun. In Carl's playthrough, it was almost bad because he almost didn't go in this pipe at all, but then he eventually did, so that was cool. I think that's... Oh, I didn't cover, I guess, this thing. It's a switch block and a thing. Yeah, that's why the clown cars are here. They just exist to catch... If you have the left one, catch this POW when that gets opened. Let's see. Is there anything else I need to mention in this level? Yeah. Building a level like this without using glitches at all was actually a really difficult restriction. I think that, for me, that was at least as difficult as the other one for Box's contest with MM1 items. Because in that MM1 items level, I did end up using a lot of glitches, but for this one, nope, none at all. And yeah, that makes it pretty difficult because, you know, like my trolls are like, see, like my trolls are based on like janky things happening, like the bone shell one I was talking about before over here. It's like, oh, that's a weird interaction. The bone shell slides to the side. I can make a troll out of that, and that's the thing that tricks you. Or like this, it's like, oh, that's a weird interaction. It doesn't hit the stuff, you know. So yeah. So but anyway, yeah, I think that's it. I think that's the level.